All right, good evening, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. I am so super excited to be on with you today. Welcome in the Zoom room for those of you who are joining us on tonight. Have some amazing guests. Welcome to the You Are Worthy Telesummit as we kick off the launch of the 2019 Get Up, Dust Yourself Off and Win Women's Empowerment Conference. And guess what? This year we are inviting men. So what a way to kick off the launch of the conference by having the You Are Worthy Telesummit. Why do we call it You Are Worthy? Because you are worthy. We're going to be talking about dating. We're going to be talking about relationships. We're going to be talking about marriage. And again, I have a smoking hot panel that's with me on tonight. And again, we're so excited. Well, you know what? I was sitting, this is the 5th year of the Get Up, Dust Yourself Off and Win conference, asking God, Lord, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to tell the people this year? And he said, tell them that they're worthy, that they're worthy. If you've been in a relationship before, if you've been married before, most of you all know my story, been married once, been married twice, been divorced once, been divorced twice. And at twice, and you feel like you're not worthy. You're not worthy to be loved again. You're not worthy to be in a relationship again. You're not worthy to be in a great marriage again. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about dating. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of single men, single women, right? And I think that there's some misinformation or some miscommunication. And so we're going to have a great chat about that tonight. So again, welcome everyone. If you're on Facebook, please go ahead, like, tag, and share the broadcast. Invite others to join us on tonight for the You Are Worthy Telesummit. Hey, so with that being said, I want to go ahead and let my guests introduce themselves on tonight. Have such a phenomenal panel of guests. I'm going to start with Mr. Emmanuel Favor. Can you tell everybody who you are and what you do, Emmanuel?
Sure. Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining in this evening. And a very special thanks to my host, Tammy. Thank you for having me in this panel. This is my first time of participating in your ministry and the things that you do. So it's an honor to be here. A little bit about myself. My name is Emmanuel Favor. And yes, that's my real name because people always ask me, is Favor your real name? Favor is my real name. And I tell people my parents got one thing right. They got my name right when they named me Emmanuel, God with us. I am a pastor and an entrepreneur, a businessman. And one of my passion is, relationship, helping people to live the life they love and love the life they live. So my desire this evening is hopefully that we can share something that can be a blessing to somebody out there who's listening. So once again, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Miss Cynthia Patterson, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hello. I'm Cynthia A. Patterson, and I am CEO and founder of Doves Loves Ministries, located here in Houston, Texas. And my life mission is to help women to heal, become whole, and then we equip them to go out and do the same for other women. And so I am super duper excited to be a part of this panel discussion. It's like, oh my goodness, the pressure is on. I think it's just an awesome privilege. It's an opportunity to share my convictions about this. And so it's my hope that women and men that are watching, that are here with us, that they would really, truly understand their worth. And especially for those who desire to be married, that's key, that has a desire to be married. We can be able to share some things with them so they can do it, date and do things God's way, because that's very important.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Last but not least, Mr. Destry Dogs, tell us who you are and what you do, sir.
Thank you, Tammy. This is a great opportunity. I'm excited about being here with you today with the panelists as well. I'm a COO for a health educational organization here in Houston, Texas. Also been married for 24 years with two little angels. One of them is 13 going on 24, and one is 15 going on 35. And you know how it goes. But I'm excited to be here. And I'm also excited that you decide to have men to join in the conversation. Oftentimes when we have events or conferences and we go to it for men or women, there's always another perspective that could add value to a conversation, just as it is with marriages. There's not one person, it's always two people joining together to be companions and to have that engagement. So hopefully today we'll be able to share what we have with the audience that you have, and to make a difference in their life based on our experiences. So I'm excited about being here. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. I'm just honored and super excited to have you all. For those of you who may not be familiar with me, my name is Tammy Durden. I am the founder and executive director of Tammy Durden Ministries International, which is a women's empowerment ministry. And what we do is help women to push past setbacks and stagnancy, to help them to live their best life, to overcome challenges, and to live the life that God designed and created them to live. And so a part of our ministry is our annual Get Up, Dust Yourself Off and Win Women's Empowerment Conference, in which we just opened registration tonight at 7:30 p.m. So super excited about that. So what you hear on tonight is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just a touch of what's to come on October the 5th. I'm so excited. It's our 5th year of the conference, and it is on October the 5th. The number 5 represents favor, and I'm not talking about Emmanuel favor. I'm talking about the favor of God. So it's going to be double favor that day. Super excited about it. We got early bird tickets. You can go to bit.ly/getupandwin19 and grab your early bird ticket tonight. So with that being said, let's kick off this conversation. And so I'm going to kick it off with a question that I hear quite a bit, and I'm going to address this question to Emmanuel. And the question is from, may I say, female bosses. They say, where are the men? What do you have to say about that, Emmanuel? Where are the men? Look at Cynthia. Cynthia looks like that's what I've been asking.
Well, you know what? I take issues with the question to begin with, because that's a very vague question. Where are the men? My answer is they're everywhere. They're in the gas station. They're in the, they're at the store. They are at work. They're at the gym. They're everywhere. Men are everywhere. So if all you want is someone in pants, you got them everywhere. So,
okay.
But I think the spirit of the question, though, is where are the quality men? Because I don't think any woman in their right mind would just ask where are the men. Because
any old man, okay.
If you want just any man, you can grab one.
But you know what? You're right, Emmanuel. Where are the quality men?
Yeah,
quality.
Men come a dime a dozen, just like women do. But the issue is quality men. And so but even then, I take issues with the question, because I think that question, when I hear women ask that question, I usually follow up with a different question, because I want to know where that question is coming from. Is it coming from a place of scarcity, a mindset of scarcity, or a mindset of fear, or a mindset of limitation? Because the Bible says, as a person thinks in their heart, so are they. Okay. So by that I mean, if a woman believes that there are no quality men, right? That's a problem, because they're not going to find a quality man. What you believe is what you're going to find, right? And so if a woman believes there's no quality man, I have issues with that. I need to figure out what is in her, or what has happened to her that has discolored the way she looks at the world. Because you and I both know that they are quality men. So if someone says that there are no quality men, then the issue is with the person. So I would like to get to the root of that issue. On the other hand, if a lady says, well, there's just not enough quality men, then I want to ask, how do you see yourself Because if you see yourself as quality enough, then even when they are insufficient, let's just assume that they are insufficient good men, then the few good men would be falling all over you because of your quality. You should be quality enough to attract even the few that is left, if there are few.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So
Okay, you should be quality enough. So there may be a question about your quality. Is that what you're saying?
There you go. There you go. So if you're wondering, if you're questioning whether there are enough quality men, then I'm questioning your quality. Because if you are so sure of your quality, you should know that quality men will seek you out, because quality men look for quality women. And it's your quality that would guarantee that serves as a guarantee for you to be found, because quality men are looking for quality. So that question in itself for me has a different layers. As you can see, I'm just trying to touch on some of them. But to answer the question, now that I got that out of the way.
Okay. Look at the jokes like, okay.
I think you answered the question. And I see Mr. Dokes over there on the edge of his seat.
He was
I'm going to pass the ball to Cynthia. I'm going to pass the ball to Cynthia. Come on, sis. I'm going to pass the ball to you on this one.
Yeah.
And so,
what you mean? The same question? No.
So when he talks about that quality, I'm trying to push past that one, but
well, one thing he said that I was like, okay, so since you're gonna go on in that level, then that's good. When you say, when you know, it's a person understanding their identity, like to know who they are, that would make a question, that would say something. You know, if I know who I am, then that general question of there's no men, then that would conflict in what I'm thinking, you know. So I need to know who I am, know my identity first, know my self-worth first. And when I know my self-worth, then I wouldn't make statements of there's no quality men, because my perception is not about there's no quality men. My perception is according to what the word says. And he who finds, finds a good thing, obtain favor, you know, he who finds a good thing. So if I know that I'm a good thing, then I won't say there's no quality, because I know I'm a good thing, and whatever that is,
y'all up over here.
I'm gonna attract that, right? I'm gonna attract that because I'm a gift. I'm a good thing, so I'm gonna attract that, you know. And then I'm gonna have discernment to see, okay, is this really what if I'm really that person's gift, or I need to stay on the shelf and the next person to come be their gift. You know, you got to make sure we're not giving our gifts away to the wrong recipient.
No giving other gifts the wrong way. No. we gonna keep going with this. Yeah. So Dexter, what you got?
So my thoughts, I really appreciate Pastor Favor. He really went in a great direction.
Yes.
So if a man think that he or a female think that she is worthy of something, so is the female. So when you go out shopping for clothes,
yes,
you're not looking for the same dress or the same jacket that everybody else is wearing. You're looking for something very specific, because you know who you are, you know whose you are, and you want to make sure that what you put on represent the type of person that you are. And so in this case, when you go out, I don't think that there's a shortage of men. I think that you might be looking for a good man, but you have to make sure, what are you bringing to the table to get a good man? So you got to make sure that when you go to the store, metaphorically, right, that when you're going shopping, that you have what you need, and that is your thinking of who you are and what you bring to the table to be able to find that right outfit that's going to do what you want it to do. It's the same case as when you're going looking for men.
Awesome. This I told everybody it was going to be fire. Awesome. Great conversation. I truly believe in knowing your value and your worth, and believing in what the word says about who you are and whose you are, and being able to attract those things into your life is so true. I think a lot of times we hide behind excuses and denial and things like that, and past experiences, and not facing the reality of what's really going on. So when we talk about that, so we talk about dating and we talk about marriage and things like that. And so I'll pick back up with you, Destry. So do you believe that marriage is about destiny or companionship?
I think it's about actually both. Destiny is about purpose. Companionship is about camaraderie, friendship, and just having that person around to talk to. Being a social creature, we like to have people around to listen to us and to bounce ideas off of, and to make sure that so-called we're not crazy, right? We're not just talking to ourselves. That'd be very difficult to be left out on the island by yourself. And sometimes when you are not in relationships, or you don't have that close person to, or you're the companion, you don't have an opportunity to talk about the purpose that you have inside of you that you've birthed, or it may be the purpose of a book, for example, right? You want to talk to somebody about that book. You want to tell them what that means to you and how you can make a difference. So I think that marriage is about both of those. I think marriage is about purpose and marriage is about companionship. You got to have both of those in the relationship in order to be able to move forward. Because anything that you're in that doesn't have purpose, my suggestion is that you get out of it, because you're going nowhere fast, because it doesn't have purpose. And if it doesn't fit your purpose, what you're trying to do, right? If you're unequally yoked at what you're trying to do, you're trying to go to the left, he or she is trying to go to the right, you're gonna have a problem on your hands. So I think it's actually about both. Destiny being purpose and companionship being that friendship, camaraderie, and company that you need to be able to bounce ideas off of.
Awesome. Awesome. That's some great stuff. And so with that being said, when we talk about purpose and we talk about relationship and companionship and being, and you mentioned something about being unequally yoked. I'm going to ask Emmanuel. So Emmanuel, what do you think about, so we have these dating services and matchmaking services and things of such that try to match people together. And when it comes to being unequally yoked and matched up and hooked up, and what's your take on that? Do you think it's a good idea with the dating services and matchmaking?
Well, we can't put all the dating services in one basket, because there are good ones and there are ones that are not so effective and not so good. But in general, I would say that there is absolutely nothing wrong in using available avenues and resources to try to achieve your goal. Look at it this way. If I was without a job and I needed a job, would I try to use the internet? The answer is yes. Would I try to use the newspaper? Would I try to use connections of people that I know? Answer is yes. Now, I don't understand why we think that's okay to do in every aspect of life. If we're trying to buy a home, if we're trying to get a job, we do all those things. But when it comes to the area of marriage or relationship, especially among the Christian world, we say things like, I'm waiting on God. Now,
I was going to get to that, yes.
I got news for all the ladies that are watching this, and you are waiting on God. I'm going to say congratulations, keep waiting. That's how you're going to stay unmarried, okay? Because God doesn't work. God doesn't just want to work for you. He wants to work through you, okay? Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing that someone would say if they were looking for a job and they say, well, I'm just waiting on God. No, you got to go out and write applications. You got to go out and interview. So there's absolutely nothing wrong in using dating services. And some of you may not know this, but some time ago, I actually launched a matchmaking company. One of the companies that I've launched is a matchmaking company that help busy people to set up great dates, right? And but beyond matchmaking, there's also like social media. I personally think that social media is a great place to meet somebody, because you can learn a lot about a person. You can have multiple years of their history at your fingertips without even speaking a word to them. So you get
But do you think it's kind of like the dating service? Some information that you see on social media is not always true, just like with the dating services and the profiles, right? Right. And Is it similar where you kind of have to weed through?
Yes.
I've been on social media for a while. So I mean, would you compare the two? Cynthia says yes. She raised her hand.
Here's my answer to that.
The inbox can be full. And yeah.
Here's my answer to that. Here's my answer to that. Yeah, there are many things that you see on social media is not true, but so the many things that somebody will sit in front of you and tell you too. So everything in life is about discernment. Somebody can sit right in front of you. They can walk right next to you at the office. They can live down the street from you. They can be introduced to you by your grandmother, by your mother, and they still lie to their teeth. It's not, so social media is not the problem. Dating services is not the problem. The problem is your discernment needs some resuscitation, right? You need to understand how to filter through and how to pace yourself. You need to know how to date wisely. But that being said, I think that dating services and social media are a good place to actually get to learn about people. So for instance, if you observe somebody that you like on social media, I advise you to go down their timeline and read up on them. Because here's the thing, truth doesn't hide, and lies won't become truth. So if someone is consistent, you see character, you see integrity, you see modesty, you see all the important values in their communication, in the way they talk to others. When people disagree with them on what they write, the way they respond to that, they are gentle, they are considerate, they're kind, and you see that consistently, well, that gives you a window to look at this person. But if you see somebody who's talking about Jesus today in one post, and then the very next post is cussing somebody out, and the next post is showing a live video from church, and then the next post is that kind of also gives you a window to that person's life. Now, you've done all of that without even spending the time to talk to them or exchange numbers or whatever. So on that note, it gives you a bit of a background information before you even decide whether this is worth giving it a try or not. But of course, it has its downsides too, like you mentioned.
Awesome. I think that's some great information. Definitely, you got to be in it to win it. Faith without works is dead. All of that, I'm waiting on my Boaz, and I think that you kind of addressed all of that, all of the churchy stuff that women say because we're single, and I think because we're single and we want a godly man, and when it doesn't happen as soon as we think it should happen, then that's when we start saying all of the little sayings and things like that, because the timing wise, things haven't happened in the timing that we expected them to. So Cynthia, I have a question for you. So being a successful woman, do you ever find that men are intimidated by your credentials, by your confidence? What are some of the challenges, or one main challenge maybe that you've experienced with dating?
Okay, I think the one main challenge has been time. I think that's been a main challenge, is time. And when I say time, it's because the coordinating of the schedules, and doing things. Because when you're in purpose, you have to be available in order to get to know someone. You have to be available. And I think that has been a challenge. The second part of the second challenge has been when you are a Christian and you are walking in purpose and you doing things of God, and you are, say, a minister, when you meet someone that's the same caliber, it's trying to separate those two and just be, okay, we on a date, we trying to get to know each other.
You don't have to be pastor. You don't have to be,
we can talk about, we can listen to
John,
some other music, because we're getting to know each other from a dating standpoint. And I think my challenge has been, I've met people and they're trying to, give me some sermonettes, some mini sermonettes. Yes. And I'm sitting there listening to these mini sermonettes. And by the time we finish the date, I've had like 3 sermons. just want to go on a date and just take that minister hat and just be Cynthia. That's all I want to be right now.
Minister hat.
So, or they may have just an awesome vision, and I'm a woman of purpose. And you know, if you speak in your vision and I hear it, I'm gonna throw out some of them. Ooh, you help me. Well, hold on just a minute. Help me. Let's slow down for a minute. This just date number one, you know, so that it's time, and then just separating the two to just be ourselves and date. You know, I think, and when you get a certain age, you pretty much know, you have a clear vision of what you're wanting to do. And so I think that's been the challenge, just from a personal standpoint.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I can relate to that by being in ministry myself.
Yeah.
And I've been on the dates and the sermonettes and, you know, the pastor this. I mean, but just saying with John. Can I just call you John? You know?
I mean, we can be decent in order, but can you just say I look cute, you know, and my hair? I done spent a lot of time.
It's a little compliment. That's all.
A little bit. That's all. You in order, but at least help me with my self-esteem, because I don't need you to preach to me right now. I go to church on Sundays. You know, so that has been like the main challenge, and that's real talk.
I can relate to that, sis. The time thing with me, anybody that knows me knows I'm always doing something. And so I really, you know, that's something that we really have to work on. And we really seriously want to be in a relationship. Right. And, you know, we've got to do some things to change.
Exactly.
And, yeah, to accommodate that. It's one thing to say, this is not your turn, Emmanuel. It's not your turn.
Okay.
So,
I wanted to jump in there.
Okay.
I really wanted to go back to the dating thing, but we're going to stay over here.
Okay, go on, hang on there. Oh, you don't want to go now?
Okay.
Is it me?
Oh, yeah, go.
Okay, so I think that it needs to be a balance. So when you talked about earlier about Cynthia and how successful she is, and sometimes, you know, you hear men talk about when they meet successful women, they want you to know that they're successful. And so that there needs to be a balance. Also, from a Christian perspective, when you meet a young lady and she talk about that she's a Christian, or if you know that she is, and you do oftentimes want to show that you're equally yoked. So some of the guys or the females may want to talk about something that they have in common. But I say that needs to be a balance. When you go on a date, you need to know that you're on a date. You need to talk about things that you would normally do when you're on a date. You don't have to spend the whole 2 hours talking about, you know, he got up. I think that's a beautiful thing. But I think that what you heard earlier is that a female, she spends so much time getting herself ready, preparing herself to go on a date, feeling good about herself. And so as a gentleman, we need to let them know that we appreciate all the energy and the passion that went into preparing for this date. So I think it needs to be a balance. Once you figure out that a person is kind of equally yoked, or they talk about things that matter to you, because they could do the opposite, right? They could come in cursing and like Pastor Favor said, and doing a bunch of other stuff. But you want to see consistency. But once you get beyond that, then you can talk about some of those other attributes that make up for what we talked about, a good man or a good woman. So I think there needs to be a balance.
Awesome. I totally agree. And so let's talk about, as we continue to talk about relationships and marriage. And Destra, you've been married for quite a while, and it's very commendable. And so a lot of times as women, we're preparing, you know, for marriage or to be remarried or what have you. And sometimes I think there's a fantasy aspect of what marriage is really going to be like. And, you know, so my question to you is, do you believe that premarital counseling, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And then, you know, after marriage, is it really, should it really be happily ever after? Because I see so many couples that are married, they've been married 2, 5, 10, 20, 30 years and still not happy. And so where does premarital counseling or all of that go into play before getting married? And then, you know, just keeping a good marriage afterwards?
Yeah, so, we just talked about the balancing act, right? Marriage is a balancing act. You're not going to win every situation, every conversation, and you shouldn't want to win every situation, every conversation. You don't want to marry yourself. You're marrying someone who has a different thought process, who come up in a different culture, who think very differently than you. And so that brings value to a relationship. So when you go, I believe that pre-marital counseling is a good thing, because now you can talk about your purpose and your destiny and all the things that you want in life. And if you find out in that opportunity, talking to someone else or bouncing ideas off of someone else, that that's not the case of the other person, then you get an opportunity to rethink it before investing all of that energy, time, and money into preparing for something that's going to one day that you're going to enter and be in it for 5, 10, 20 years, as you said, and not be happy because you didn't take care of some things on the front end. So I think it's a balancing act. If you get it right, if you're perfect at it, you should write a book and make $1 billion, because I don't know anyone that's actually perfect at it. I think it's a journey. It's a learning opportunity where you continue to grow with each other. And every day you learn something new. But if you come to the table with the right intent, I think you'll walk away with something that you're very proud of. So I think it can be happily ever after, but that means that it's not a fairy tale. There was a singer who said that there's no fairy tales, right? That nobody's going to come save you. You're not going to be able to find that prince, that perfect person. But as a female, I watched my sisters grow up and how they used to make mud pies, and they used to talk about as little girls being married and how they wanted their husband to be and that perfect world that they created, that fairy tale land. But once life kicks in, you got the kids, you got the job, you have what Cynthia talked about, time. You have all of these things that are pulling at you and competing for your time. And so you have to find a way to be able to balance all of that to make it all make sense. But I do think that you can have that fairy tale life, so to speak. You just have to make sure it's in perspective.
Awesome. I think that's some great information, some great advice that married people and those planning to get married can really take into consideration, so that we're not going in with the wrong perspective and having false expectations and hopes of what we think that it's all about. So to everybody that's on live with us today, I've been so into the conversation, I forgot to check in on y'all. Thank you so much for joining. If you're on Facebook, if you're in the Zoom room with us, again, some smoking hot conversation going on. Go ahead and like, tag, and share the broadcast and invite others to join us on social media. If you're with us today, if you're in the Zoom room, welcome. We appreciate you for being here. Now, again, this is just a tip of the iceberg. I'm so excited. I'm thinking I may invite my guests back again, and we're gonna do this again because we have way too much to talk about. But be sure to get registered for the conference, to get up, dust yourself off, and win. It's the Women's Empowerment Conference, but we are inviting men into our space this year. It is the Worthiness Experience. We're going to be talking again in more detail, breakout sessions about marriage. We're even going to be talking about worthiness in business. Sometimes we're in business and we undercharge or don't ask because we don't feel like that we're worthy or deserving of earning the income or making the money in our businesses. So we're going to have a business expert at the conference. Make sure you go to bit.ly/getupandwin19. We have early bird tickets that are available. Another amazing lineup of guests and panelists and speakers at the conference. You don't want to miss it. Again, go to bit.ly/getupandwin19 and grab your early bird ticket on tonight. So let's get back into the conversation. Let's talk a little bit about Emmanuel. I have a question for you. So we talked about dating and we talked about dating sites, but do you think that the church is a good place to meet someone if you're single?
Yeah, I mean, I would say almost every place can be a good place to meet someone. It's not the place, it's the person you're meeting. You can meet a good person in a bar and you can meet the devil in the church. So it's not the place.
Okay.
It's the person, okay? Because a lot of people, this is very important actually, because a lot of people, especially women, go from, oh, I met him in church. He goes to my church. He knows my pastor. But those things in themselves don't define or verify a person's character.
Right.
Right? So yeah, you can meet someone in church, but regardless of where you meet someone, I would say you should do the same. You should have the same filter system, the same checks that you have when you meet anyone. So.
Okay. Well, thank you. What do you think about that, Cynthia? Have you had that experience?
Yeah, I agree. Well, no, I haven't met anyone in church.
In church.
No, I haven't. However, I've counseled and mentored women who have. And so I definitely, they've met someone, or they've come to church with someone, or they met someone there, and then the relationship doesn't work. And so when the relationship doesn't work, now it's one of these things where they've separated their relationship and the reason why they're in church, because there's a relationship with God. Now they've separated that because of the relationship with the individual. And so now there's, they're upset. They can't really focus because, now that person they were in dating with, they broke up with them. Now they even brought somebody else to the church. So now there's this tug of war going on, and the person is missing the ultimate reason of why they're at church. So, our steps are ordered. I pretty much believe I'm like Pastor Favor. Our steps are ordered. We can't really say if the person's in church, out of church. I mean, church is a hospital. We're all going there for the same thing, to be ministered to grow spiritually to the next level. And where you meet that person, it's still about their relationship with God and what they need to do at the end of the day. It's about their relationship. So I haven't met anyone, but I've counseled many women.
Well, Cynthia, are you on the market? I just want to make it public. Are you on the market?
Yes, I am on the market. I am on the market. I have a desire to be married. I've been studying Rebecca and Isaac, and I'm like Rebecca, I'm working. I'm not watering camels, but I'm busy in purpose. And the Holy Ghost is going to send him my way. There's no servant that's going to come and get me, but the Holy Ghost is going to send him my way, and I'll be that. So try all those things, the dating scene, the apps, and all that kind of stuff. And God say that's not for me. So I have to do it his way, God's way, his timing, his will. And in his will is for me to just do my purpose and pursue. So I'm go places. I'm not just going to be sitting at home waiting on God. I do go places and go to events and do things. And he's going to be, you may meet, he may meet him in Walmart, at the gas station, so I'm not limiting where I'm going to meet him. But yes,
I'm with you. You got to be open.
Open. Yes. I may meet him in the airport tomorrow morning. I don't know.
And I think that's a point, though. It's a point to be open, because a lot of times, you build these this checklist of things that, he or she has to meet this checklist of things and check this off and check this off. And, the older you get, the more that checklist dwindles because some of the things that you used to think were important, now, you've grown, you've matured, and like that's not even important. Right. And so, yeah, you have to be open and not limit, because we miss out on a blessing by placing limitations and using this checklist. And just miss out on the blessing.
Dr. Doak said something that was like real powerful. He was like, it's a balance, and you just have to be mindful and be open to what it is that God has. We have to be open to that and walking in purpose and knowing that, yes, companionship, there's destiny, it's about purpose, but that's the ultimate goal. We are a helpmeet to that individual who has a purpose, and we are to help him to meet that need that God has called them to. It's about purpose, and we're companion and, talk.
And I like the whole idea, Cynthia, that if you have an intent, when you go somewhere, you'll find what you're looking for, but it might not be the right thing for you. So if you're going to church because somebody told you to come to a revival or come to a musical or whatever it is that they're having at church, and that there's a lot of single men that's going to be there, then you're going to go there and you're going to find somebody, but that might not be the right person for you because you went there with the intent of looking for a man opposed to going there for the reason that they called you to come. Okay. If you go there with a balanced approach again, right, the purpose of seeking out what God has for you at that event or at that musical or whatever it is, you will get that. And if he also give you a side benefit of meeting someone, right, if you got the right intent, that's a good thing. So you got to stay focused on the reason that you're doing what you're doing. And you have to allow him, I like the words you use, you have to allow God to order your steps. Because if you don't, you'll find what you're looking for, but it'll be about you. It won't be about God ordering your steps.
Yes. Amen.
Wow, that's good. It'll be about you. And I think we get caught up in it being about us. And so when you can set that aside and have the right motives and the right intentions, then, you know, things can begin to look a little different as we approach those different areas in life. So this is some good stuff, y'all. I'm so excited about this. Somebody just texted me and said, y'all funny. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're on social media, if you're in the Zoom room with us, thank you so much for joining us. We're having some candid conversation. This is some good stuff, y'all. Tonight, we're talking about dating, relationships, and marriage as we kick off the Get Up, Dust Yourself Off and Win Women's Empowerment Conference. We're inviting men this year as we are having the Worthiness Experience. It's October the 5th. Be sure to go to bit.ly/GetUpAndWin19 and register, get your early bird ticket, grab some more information. The flyer is posted on social media. You don't want to miss it. What you're experiencing tonight is just the tip of the iceberg as a part of the Worthiness Experience on October 5th. So super excited about that. So let's get back into some more conversation. This is so awesome. We just have a few minutes left, but I'm sad about that. So Destry, in marriage, you know, and you're going and it's 5 years and 10 years and 20 years, when things get a little dry or stale, you know, what are some things that are good to help keep the marriage juicy and flowing and fun and good and liking each other?
Right. So that's a very good question. And you oftentimes hear people talk about that. And so whatever it took, the first day or the second day that caused you to have googly eyes about the person, you might want to go back and think about that or experience that again. But what happens to us is that when you talk about balancing, as I mentioned earlier, life kicks in, right? You start going to work, you start having these bills. But when you first met, you were probably living with your parents, or you had just an apartment and you had just a car note. But now you have kids, you have all these different aspirations. And once the kids come into the scene, they become the bosses of how you move. You become their Uber driver, you become whatever they need. And so what happens is you start to migrate away from one another and not have that time that Cynthia talked about to be able to do the things that pull you together in the beginning. So there's this whole big push about date night. So you got to find a way to date again. You got to find a way to talk to each other like you did 5, 10, 20 years ago. And whatever spices that you used then, you have to sprinkle those spices back on the relationship. But there's a lot of things that begin to happen to us. The older you get, there are some health issues that you might be dealing with. You need to make sure that you are having normal checkups and seeing a doctor. There could be things that are happening that's in your genetics. There's a lot of different things that step into play as you start to develop in a relationship over time. But what you have to do is sprinkle that spice on the relationship that you used 5, 10, 20 years ago, and then spice the relationship back up. Sometimes you go to the movie, you know, it should be about holding hands. My wife reminds me of that all the time. I get in trouble from time to time. Hey, you're not holding my hand. Yes, ma'am. I grab that hand, right? And so these are things that she wants. And you also talk about the love languages. You've heard a lot about love language. What spices her? What does she like, right? What do you like? And you got to have that balance and that mix all the time. But I say again, you got to sprinkle that spice back on the relationship and make it happen.
Now, that's true. Do you find that as you grow and evolve and you've been married for a while, as individuals, does your preferences change and what that spice is and was, or if you're still trying to use the old spices, but they don't work anymore, and you got to try to, evolve into and figure out what that new spice is, that sometimes a part of it?
Absolutely. So again, as you start to develop, and if you take the health stuff off the scene and you just have a traditional relationship, there are things that you probably used to do that was very exciting for you in the relationship. Well, it may not be exciting today. It may be something else that you need to do. So what I say is that communication have to always be open, that you should always talk about whatever it is that you're feeling, the emotions that you're going through, because what worked yesterday, those old spices, as you call them, may not work today. So you need to switch it up. So whatever it takes for you guys to get back to that place to where you want to be, again, it's a balancing act, right? And you got to give some and you got to take some. But whatever it takes for you to get back to that place, you should always be constantly seeking that if you want to have that happily ever after, that fairy tale marriage.
That's good.
Awesome.
That's
Awesome.
good.
Isn't that good?
Yes, I love it.
Real. That's good and that's real.
I'm taking notes.
So one thing you stressed a couple of times was communication. And so I think that in relationships and marriages, even if you're dating, that communication is key. Not making assumptions or not being secretive with your thoughts and just assuming somebody knows what you're thinking. So Emmanuel, how important do you think communication is, whether you're dating or in a relationship?
Well, like you rightly say, communication is a key to any relationship. Two people have to be able to express themselves, and also communication to me is more than dumping. Okay. Sometimes people think that just because I'm talking, I'm communicating. Well, you may not be communicating effectively, right? So for communication to be effective, there's got to be at least two components. There's got to be the giving part as well as the receiving part. A lot of people know how to talk, but don't know how to listen. And then they call themselves, oh, I'm a great communicator. I like to talk. But that might be the problem. That is the reason why you're not a great communicator, because you're just one-sided. You're just talking. And I have this policy that if I'm talking to somebody and they keep interrupting me, and I have to ask them, let me finish. If I have to ask you, let me finish, I'm done talking, because you're not even interested in hearing what I'm saying. And so even if you let me finish, it's not going to go anywhere, because you're not really listening to hear me. You're just going to give me a chance to finish talking so you can really tell me what you want to tell me. So communication has to be two sides, whereby I'm willing to express myself, but I'm also voluntarily willing to hear the other person. If the other person has to constantly tell me, to give them opportunity to talk, what that indicates is that inside of me, I'm not truly curious to get in their mindset. And I think, to me, this is me now. I don't have a Bible verse for this, but I think, oh, well, maybe there is a Bible verse. The Bible says a fool is more interested in expressing their own views. So there is a verse, and you got it right there.
There you go.
That's one of the problems of talking with preachers. We always have a verse and a scripture.
That's good. It's not our opinion. It's the word of God.
There you go.
It's the word.
So
it's the word, but you just don't want to hear it on the date.
Correct. Yeah.
Got Bible study, got Sunday morning worship. Can I just get one? Just get a minute?
4 sermons.
I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Wow. No, this is so fun. I'm serious. Guys, we're going to have to definitely do this again. Maybe we'll regroup in August or something. We got to do this again. We're 5 minutes away from our shutting down time. I think I'm going to ask one last question, and then I want to ask everybody to just give some final words to leave with our audience today. Again, thank you so much on social media. Those who are in the Zoom room, thank you for being with us tonight for the Telesummit. You Are Worthy Telesummit, as we get ready to kick off the Get Up, Dust Yourself Off and Win Women's Empowerment Conference. So I'm going to ask this. So if you are single, I'm going to ask for a couple of tips. If you're single and you are re-entering the dating scene, been rusted, you haven't been dating, and so now you're ready to get back in, and this is for anybody, what tips or recommendations would you say? Let's say you're post-divorce, or you just haven't been dating, and so now you're ready to get back, whether you're male or female, get back on the dating scene. What's a couple of things, something that you can do to prepare yourself for that?
Okay, well, I can go. For one, I would say the individual get a crystal clear vision on what is dating. You know, because if you back on the scene, then what is your narrative? What is your new narrative now on how you're going to date? You know, what does that look like? And then secondly, with that, the second thing, just know your self-worth, you know, understanding your worth, and your worth is definitely a portal to your self-esteem, and not compromise the vision, you know, what your, you know, the crystal clear vision you have as far as this next season in dating and what that looks like, and not compromise that, and doing it God's way. You know, and I think out of that, some great things is going to happen because you choose to do something different. So it wasn't failed relationships. It's just now you know something, you have something new that you know because you're older and more wisdom.
Awesome.
You know,
go ahead.
I'll jump in, Tammy. So you got to make sure that you're not bringing old baggage on a new trip.
That's it.
So you got to make sure that you clean out your suitcase of old baggage to make sure that if there was any hurt feelings, if there was anything that caused that relationship to go the way that it did and to dissolve, that you take care of that. Because if you bring old bags on a new trip, you're going to have the same type of reactions, the character is going to show up, everything about, and you're going to constantly be talking about what used to be. You're going to be talking about someone else. How do you expect someone to accept you at 100% when you keep talking about Bob or Sue, right? I mean, so you got to make sure you take care of the old bags. You got to make sure you're healthy. You got to make sure you're ready to have another relationship, that you're not jumping the gun, right? You're jumping in too early, and you can't be doing it because what other people think about you. You have to make sure that you're fully healthy with no old bags, that you're really looking to go on a new trip with new bags and be a new person.
Oh, that's awesome. Come on, Emmanuel.
That was so well said, so beautifully said. And I want to just piggyback on what Brother Dokes just said. He said, be ready. And I want to kind of spin off of that, because how do I get ready? That's the way a lot of people may have questions. Yeah, it's good to be ready, and you should be, but how do you get ready? So one of the things that is good to do, especially for people who've been through divorce, because every relationship that you've been in has taken something out of you and has left something in you. And so what I say is be healthy before you even go into starting a relationship. And the way you get healthy, the way you get ready, like Brother Dokes just said, is to sometimes you may need to get help from a professional. You may need to go to counseling, all right? I say this to people as a dating coach. I tell people, if you fail at dating relationship, or if you failed at relationship at all, maybe once or twice, and you think you don't need help, you are a special kind of dumb. Okay. Because, no, let's be honest.
Well, just tell the truth.
Yeah, because watch this. If it was in another area, if you had failed in business, if you had failed in exam or in driving tests, you would have found somebody to teach you something you don't know.
That's right.
Very true.
Failure and struggles are proof of lack of information. You only struggle where you don't know. If I gave you my watch tonight and asked you to fix it, you would probably struggle fixing it, but I guarantee you there's somebody across town I would take it to and they'll fix it. What's the difference? They know something you don't know about the watch. So any area of life that you struggle, whether it's finance, relationship, whatever it is, struggle is always proof of something you don't know. So if you find yourself failing at a relationship or struggling at a relationship, you need a dating or relationship coach. It doesn't take anything away from you. It doesn't make you less than. It doesn't mean you're not a smart person. You can be very smart in nuclear physics and still not know how to relate with people. You can be very smart in creating businesses and creating wealth, but not know how to communicate or not have a balance in your emotional life or have, emotional intelligence. So having a coach, having someone help you through that process will lead you to the place where Brother Doug just talked about, of being ready to get back into the relationship scene without carrying the baggage of yesterday into tomorrow's promise.
Wow. I think that just summed it all up right there. Wow, that's amazing. I wish I was about to say, I wish I would have recorded it, but we're live and it will be recorded.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to do watch parties and replays of this broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to Cynthia, to Destry, to Emmanuel. I appreciate you. When I contacted y'all, everybody was like, I'm in. And so I'm grateful to God for putting this together. I take no credit for that because this has been beautiful and amazing. And so for all of you who are watching us live, thank you so much for joining us. Those who are in the Zoom room, I appreciate you for being on with us. I hope that you have found value in the conversation and the candid conversation on tonight, because it was fire. And so if you want a greater, broader experience, make sure that you go to bit.ly/GetUpAndWin19 and register for the Get Up, Dust Yourself Off and Win Women's Empowerment Conference, where men are invited this year as we talk in more detail about relationships, marriage, business, and that you are worthy. No matter what you've gone through, no matter what you've experienced, no matter what your setbacks may have been, no matter how you failed or made poor choices or decisions in your life, and life may happen, you are worthy. So I want you to know that. Again, thank you so much for joining tonight. Make sure you like, tag, and share the broadcast. Share it with someone else that you believe that will find value in what we've talked about today. So good night, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Destry. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you.